We're on to Cincinnati.
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
Nothing about the past, nothing about the future.
Welcome back to Draft Us. My name is Walter, and yes, we are doing the Midnight Tuesday mock draft, right? Oh my God, I had so much fun. But we're not doing the first round again. That would be lazy. That would be dumb. We'd just be doing the same picks over and over again. Nah, tonight we're following it up. This is the sequel, everybody. Round 2. Like the real deal. We are doing round 2 of the NFL draft. But as a way of being nice to everybody, I will go over some of the picks that we actually have done so far, right? So I'll pull that up right off the bat, right? Number 1 overall, Trevor Lawrence. That guy was a sleeper, came out of nowhere, don't know what happened. Next guy, Zach Wilson. This is the guy you all had in your books. Come up next, number 3, Justin Fields. Panthers, what? They don't have the number 3 pick. They traded up with Miami. Number 4, Atlanta Falcons. Do they go quarterback? No, they went tight end. Tight end? Oh, how sweet is that? Yes, they get Kyle Pitts out of Florida. But, man, this man's not just any kind of tight end. He's a real tight end. I don't mean just a real tight end. I mean, he has the ability to be like a superstar level player. Like, he would be a top 4 receiver in this draft if he was just a receiver. And he plays a position maybe where he can be even more explosive. So, yes, Kyle Pitts. Offensive weapon, if you will, right? Not offensive, offensive. Right? All right, so we get done with Kyle Pitts. Number 5, Cincinnati Bengals, Penny Sewell. Number 6, oh, it's a trade-up. Trey Lance goes in number 6. You guess who? There's only 2 options. There's quite a few options. Actually, about I would say about 30-ish options. Not 30, 20, 25. I'm bad at math right now. Everybody, 24, 25, 26. Yeah, so the Patriots trade up with the Eagles to get Trey Lance. And then the Detroit Lions go ahead. They get on the clock. They take Jamar Chase. Next step down, Jalen Waddle. Yes, the Miami Dolphins are now back on the board. They take Jalen Waddle. Number 9, right? Azeez Ojulari goes to the Broncos. You might be like, Walter, why would you send Azeez Ojulari in the top 10 to the Broncos? Well, I'm telling you this, everybody. They have a guy named Von Miller. He's getting old. They got Bradley Chubb. He's young. He's coming up on his next contract. They filled out the back end of that defense, right? They went ahead and they signed Khalil Fuller. They signed Ronald Darby. They kept Justin Simmons and managed to get Kareem Jackson to agree to come back at a cheaper deal. They extended Shelby Harris, the D-tackle. If they add another pass rusher here, my God, it is golden. There's only one pass rusher I think that totally fits exactly what I think would work really well right here. Azeez Ojulari was the guy. Next up, J.C. Horn with the Dallas Cowboys. This was before Patrick Surtain blew up the pro day and just was like, I looked like the most dominant thing on the planet. Seriously, man, this guy is good. I don't know. I was having fun, everybody. I mean, I always had Surtain number 1 at cornerback, right? I mean, listen, I do think there's some questions with Surtain's explosiveness necessarily, as far not explosiveness, but like the quick twitch, the ability to kind of keep with receivers who are gonna go. Who are the like the Tyreek Hills of the world, right? If you ever came up against a Tyreek Hill, what would happen? Now, granted, there's not a lot of corners who can go up against Tyreek Hill, but there was just that question mark of, are there other guys out there who maybe, what like J.C. Horn maybe? Anyway, I apologize. If there's Surtain, the Dallas Cowboys. Well, they take J.C. Horn in this mock draft, and then next time I'll correct it. Number 11 overall, Rashawn Slater goes to the Giants. They just had a whole bunch of free agency buzz. Kenny Galladay, John Ross, Adoree Jackson, Leonard Williams extension. So what do they need? Well, they got rid of Zeitler. They dropped Nate Solder's contract to basically a 1-year, $3 million deal. So they bring in maybe the guy who can replace Nate Solder in the future, or we'll switch over to the left side, and then maybe Andrew Thomas kicks out to the right. We'll see. You know, they just need to fix that offensive line. Daniel Jones now has weapons, and he's got a defense. But the problem is, I don't think he has an offensive line. So, next up on the plate, the San Francisco 49ers, they take Patrick Surtain II. Ooh. Yes, he fell to them. They need corner depth. I think they do. They had Emmanuel Mosley as on a 2-year deal, and then the other one that they brought back was Casey Hayward. Now they go. He came back on a 1-year deal. They need to fill out the depth in that corner room. Surtain would just be gold here, right? Like that would be great. They did get Jaquiski Tartt back as well. He signed today. 13 overall, Elijah Vera Tucker, USC, the LA Chargers. I think this was a good spot. They need, again, another team, young quarterback. They need to fill out the offensive line, figure out what they got there. I mean, he was good with a bad offensive line. Think about what he could be with a good offensive line. That would be sexy. 14 overall, the Minnesota Vikings get their new man, and he is an edge rusher named Kwity Paye. Number 15 overall. The Eagles, remember, they traded back with the Patriots. This is the Patriots pick. They get a receiver, maybe a receiver they were thinking of back when they were picking at 6. They take Devontae Smith. Dang, that is some the former the Heisman winner. He goes to an Eagles team that definitely needs depth on the receiving core. Not just depth, but needs playmakers, right? They get rid of Alshon Jeffrey. They get rid of Deshaun Jackson. They're in a rebuild. Well, now, out of that rebuild, they get a receiver to go along with their young Jalen Hurts and maybe future quarterbacks, that they decide to draft if Jalen Hurts does not pan out. Next on the list, at 16 overall, Caleb Farley. I had mentioned before about Caleb Farley's disc issue, but it sounds like he will at least be back with from the microdissection by May or June. We mentioned this before, but it does lead a pattern, right? When you're drafting guys in the first round, it's not just, hey, is this guy going to be, it's not just, hey, is this guy going to be healthy for this year? It's, can I get, top 15, top 16 pick? Is this guy going to be healthy for future years, right? Is he going to be good 2, 3, 4 years down the road, or is he going to have back issues? Is he going to have to retire early? Can I get him on a second contract? What if I extend him in his third year? At the end of his third year? So all those things come to mind. That being said, Arizona Cardinals, they went ahead and signed a whole bunch of defensive players, right? They get J.J. Watt. They get Marcus Golden back. They got Chandler Jones. They have Budda Baker, who's really good, but they lost their best corner that they ever had, named Patrick Peterson. Now he's with the Minnesota Vikings. So I think this is the perfect spot to take a guy like Caleb Farley. Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury have a very short leash, a very tiny rope, if you will. I've never seen it in person, but I've heard things. And I think right now this would be the perfect pick. Help bolster up the defense. He might not be he might not be right away ready necessarily, but he still has the athleticism to be good. A lot of props to him in zone. He, again, if he was 100% healthy, he's number one corner on a lot of people's boards here. And he has the ability to be an ascending talent as well. I think this is the perfect deal for them. Maybe they get in year 2 Isaiah Simmons playing well as well, and maybe that whole defense kind of comes together. 17 overall, Raiders, they get rid of their offensive line. They got to bring in some new offensive line, right? Andre Smith, yeah, okay, he might be playing center. I don't think so. We'll talk about that maybe in round 2. Ooh, a little bit of a heads up, what might be coming down the pike. So they take Christian Darrisaw of Virginia Tech to be a tackle. Again, they need to shore up the offensive line. 18 overall, Miami Dolphins, they go ahead and they take Tevin Jenkins, right tackle out of Oklahoma State. Again, Marcus Hunt, they could probably kick him in a little bit, or they could maybe even switch him out to left tackle, because Austin Jackson was about as bad as I thought he was going to be last year, so I kind of worked out that way. Next on the list, Rashad Bateman to the Washington football team. He joins a receiving core that is just bucks aplenty, plenty of beautiful receivers now. They've got Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin, and Rashad Bateman, at least in this mock draft. Getting thrown to by either Tyler Heineke or Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, you might be like, wait, Walter, why didn't they take Mac Jones? Listen, you know what? They could have taken Mac Jones. I thought maybe they wouldn't go Mac Jones. I don't think necessarily does Ron Rivera want to have to develop a new quarterback. Maybe he's looking for somebody who's a bit more mobile. Guy who and not that Mac Jones isn't mobile. He just has pro day today. He certainly looks plenty limber, plenty quick. But I just think in this situation, I went with the Rashad Bateman pick. I thought, he kind of complements the other 2 receivers on that roster. I think they're going to try and go for as much as they can. Next on the list, Chicago Bears. This is the team that takes Mac Jones. I don't think they believe in Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton's definitely better than when they had Mike Glennon as the starter and they drafted Trubisky. It sounds like Dalton, even though he knows he's supposed to be the starter going into the year, he's been told he will be the starter. It sounds like he's resigned himself to listen, you know what? I'm the starter. I get it. I also understand I might not be the starter for the very long term. It also makes me question what's going to go on with Nick Foles, because You told the guy coming in that it's not going to be a QB competition. It's going to be Andy Dalton. And I think the plan is probably to start Andy Dalton even if you draft a quarterback. Anyway, next on the list, Leon Eichenberg to the Indianapolis Colts. If this pick comes this way, this is one of those ones you can mock it every time, and you will be like, that's the one. All right, good. Next on the list, the Tennessee Titans. They take Samuel Cosmi out of Texas. They just got rid of their first-round pick tackle last year. They got rid of Dennis Kelly, who was their swing tackle, who I think actually basically started for them for a lot of the year. But they cut him. They bring in Kendall Lamb. Kendall Lamb's not the future of your offensive line. Taylor Lewan, coming back off of injury, you need more depth in that offensive line room. So, and you need guys who can truly maybe even be the future stalwarts of that offensive line. So they go Samuel Cosmi. Jets take Alex Leatherwood at 23. Build up the offensive line. Get some. Alex Leatherwood had himself a really good pro day. Showed some real athleticism. If he's your guard, he's going to be a really athletic guard. If he's playing tackle for you, you maybe can coach him up a little bit to be a little bit better, to maybe be able to hold up a little bit better than how he has in the past, especially with guys who like to vary their pass rush moves. Next on the list, Wyatt Davis goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers need offensive linemen. I don't even think they care if it's a tackle. They might bring back Villanueva. I haven't heard anything yet, but that would maybe be the smart move for them. That's probably why they cleared a little bit of cap space. I'm just saying. That's what I'm figuring here, because they cut Steven Nelson. They could easily go corner here. Listen, if your entire thing is banking on, you signed a corner, you brought back Cam Sutton, you have Hayden. There's clearly something going on that they don't like. There's something going on with Nelson that they like, something in-house. Now, Nelson might not be the best corner ever, but he's been pretty solid for them the last 2 years. They lose pass rushers. They could have went pass rusher here. I think offensive line's the big deal, though. Their offensive line was horrible. They lost even more guys this year. Pouncey to retirement. Ramon Foster, 2 years to retirement. Filer. Villanueva, like I said, maybe they bring him back. Next on the list, 25, Micah Parsons goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars. This sounds like a pick that would totally be an Urban Meyer, Trent Baalke move. They get an athletic, versatile, just a super athletic linebacker who has the ability to maybe even be, somewhat of a good blitz backer for them. I don't think Urban Meyer's going to be that worried about maybe some of the college issues. He's had college issues himself as far as programs that he's run. And then I have them trading back up. Yes, 26 overall. The Jaguars trade back up from the being at the top of the second round to get to 26 overall. They trade with the Browns. Browns trade back. They get a third-round pick. Everybody's happy. Jaguars take Trayvon Morig out of TCU. Now they get a duo, right? Now they're fixing up the center of that defense. They get a center fielder in Trayvon Morig. Now, I wouldn't necessarily call him the true single high free safety type, but if you're running a lot of cover two, you need to leave him up single high. He could definitely do it. But he's not. I wouldn't say like a few years ago we had Eric Berry. He's not Eric Berry level, but he's good. He's the best safety in this draft class, especially if you're looking for a guy who's going to be a playmaker, who's going to be a leader on that defense. Those two guys are going to be dangerous. Both those guys would help build up the center of the defense, going kind of like down the line. We need to go ahead and build up the middle. Next on the list, can't believe this guy fell this far. I would probably be shocked if he did. But I went Baltimore Ravens, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He could probably even go ahead of Micah Parsons on my book. Probably would if I was drafting for a particular team that ends up taking linebackers in the first round. But here, I don't think he's necessarily the linebacker. Because remember, they took our linebacker first round last year. I don't think he's taking the role that Queen takes. He's playing safety in this defense, right? He's playing strong safety, kind of a rover role. I think they could use him all over the place. Again, Baltimore's very good at adapting and utilizing defensive backs. And you've seen it. They very much value defensive backs. Here he would be a defensive back. And remember, JOK, he can cover guys. He can cover receivers in the slot. He can play like true Mike, or even depending on what your scheme calls on it, he can play true either Sam stacked linebacker. He could do a lot of things. I think he's probably going to be more of a safety in this defense, though. 28 overall. We're going Christian Barmore, everybody. That's right. Saints lost Sheldon Rankins, and now they go ahead and they replace him with Christian Barmore, maybe even a better version of what Rankins was, because Rankins kind of fell off after his Achilles injury. After that, we had the Green Bay Packers take Greg Newsom. This one you can plug and play every time. I understand they signed Kevin King. They signed him to a one-year deal. They are not married to Kevin King. They did not put a ring on it. It is a we will see kind of thing. So they bring Kevin King back. I think they bring in Greg Newsom. They want to figure out the secondary. They want to be able to stop the pass, everybody. And then they will figure out how to stop the run some way, somehow, maybe schematically speaking. Next guy on the list, the Buffalo Bills take Gregor Rousseau. He might fall out of the first round, folks. I'm not kidding here. There's reasons why people don't necessarily think he will go first round, and part of it is just how he won. His size when he was playing in college. Again, we're talking about a year removed from it. The differentiation from the rest of this draft class, the talent level, and how he was utilized, beating up centers and guards. If he comes out and he's 260, 280, 270, 280, and he played a couple of games this year, he'd be a top 5-10 pick if he had the same level of production. We didn't see that. We don't know what happened in the last year because of the opt-out. So next comes up Kansas City. They have to take an offensive lineman, I think. This is one of those few times I feel like it's a need pick, and they take Dylan Radins out of North Dakota State. He seems to be kind of perking up a lot of GM's ears, if you will. Next guy on the list, Richie Grant, went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think this was perfect, right? They need a guy to kind of pair with Antoine Winfield. Sean Murphy-Bunting was fine, but I think they definitely want to switch it up a little bit more at safety. Richie Grant's kind of more of the single high free safety kind of guy. I dig it. I dig his game style. I dig his play. So, oh my God, we did it. We made it to the next round. We are now at pick 33, the Cleveland Browns. And who do they select? Well, Cleveland Browns have probably... I know people say they don't have many needs or really any needs. They've covered their needs by signing John Johnson III, signing Troy Hill, and they've definitely improved on the back end. They did lose Olivier Vernon, right? They signed Tack McKinley. They signed Malik Jackson. They're gonna, they cut Adrian Claiborne. They lost a whole bunch of guys that were on that team last year. B.J. Goodson, Terrence Mitchell. He went to the Texans. Tavier Thomas, Larry Ogunjobi. So they could go D-tackle here. Barmore's not on the board right now. If they valued him highly at a certain point, maybe they would take him. Maybe they wouldn't even trade down. But I thought the value for a trade down at that spot was perfect. At 33, I think they're probably going to look edge or corner, right? When we went over this before, there's a couple of guys that they could look at. Ifeatu Melifonwu, big, long, lanky corner. I don't think this is who they go for. Now, they could probably utilize him in press man, but he really hasn't been all that aggressive as far as corners go. Guy who I like, Asante Samuel, I don't think this is where they would take him. If they maybe went back a little bit further, if different guys weren't on the board, I think he would be very much the guy in play here. I'm squeamish about Kelvin Joseph. I don't think he goes in the top 50 because of some stuff that's kind of not football related, not necessarily football related. Not that I personally, I think he's gonna go day 2, I think, but I just don't think he goes top of the second round. And he's got a couple of football related things that also kind of, his eyes kind of wander a little bit. So I'm gonna look at the edge rushers now. Edge rushers, you got Joseph Osai on the board. Out of Texas, you got Jason Owe, Jalen Phillips, Ronnie Perkins, Carlos Basham. I said it before. Jalen Phillips, concussions probably worry people. Carlos Basham, he's 23, 24. Browns seem to play a little bit more of an age game. They tend to shoot for the younger guys. Otherwise, I liked his tape. I thought he was very good. Ronnie Perkins, very interesting guy. Very high pressure rate in college. But I'm a little squeamish with Perkins. I'm not really overly squeamish about the athleticism, but it is a thing. He's got vines for arms. But a guy who I like here, Jason Owe, did have a high pressure rate, but no sacks. This is what's going to scare people away. Oh, yeah, no sacks. Well, sacks are kind of a team stat, right? It's a thing that, like, your coverage has to be working out. the guys who are also rushing, like the QB can't just run away from you. They can't just be able to double team you and scheme away from you. We've seen good, even in the NFL, we've seen good defensive ends not get tons of sacks some years because you're able to scheme away from them. Other guys on the team get the sacks necessarily. And then also, like, again, if your back end of the defense is, totally dead, then they're just thrown against air at that point. So I actually like Jason Owe for the Browns here. 34 overall. We're here at the Jets. This is the team that I think maybe looks at I think they look at edge rusher here as well. They could also look at receiver. A couple of receivers who might be on the board right now. Kadarius Toney, he's kind of a fun, tricky slot guy. I think Deebo Samuel, but not really like not the stoutiness, not the brick walliness, but kind of like the just a quick guy, run after the catch guy. I think he's a guy you can get the ball in his hands, and he's going to do a lot of electric things. I'm not overly sold right here. I think the second round's going to be big on receivers this year. I think there's going to be teams are going to look at it and be like, listen, like there's even still guys in free agency we could still get. It's a very deep draft in the middle. There's like a few guys that are going to probably go in the first round. And there's going to be a whole wave of them in the second, like a couple of years ago. I don't think it's going to be like last year where like all the top guys went by pick 40, 45. So Kadarius Toney's a good one. Terrence Marshall. Rondale Moore had his pro day today. Measured in at 5'7". 200 pounds, I believe. I don't have the number exactly. I don't actually know if they posted the actual weight. I think it was 200 pounds. But his 40 was like a 4.29 40, supposedly. Remember, these are pro days. It's going to be a range. But again, he blew up the combine, blew up the pro day, jumped a 42.5-inch vertical. That's pretty impressive for a guy who's 5'7". He ain't tall, but he's hitting it up, man. This guy could probably dunk. I'd be very intrigued by his athleticism. Elijah Moore, another one I really enjoy watching. He's one of those guys, when you watch defensive back film, just kind of lights up the tape. Terrence Marshall, I think I mentioned him on yesterday's show, played outside during the year that Joe Burrow was there, played a little bit more inside slot. It seemed like he did not like being there this year. Feels like, the team was not, or it feels like he might have, like, kind of got stuck in a situation where it's like last year you're on this electric team and everybody's doing great, and then they all left and you're the guy who's left standing holding the bag. I didn't care much for him too much out of the slot. He was okay. He didn't really look like he was overly aggressive as a run blocker. I think that there's going to be I think some teams are going to question. He opted out right before he was supposed to play Alabama. So I think some teams are going to question that. I think it's a choice right here with the Jets between receiver, which they could absolutely go, but I think they took a lot of shots on receiver in free agency. That doesn't mean you can't do more, but they do have Corey Davis. They did sign Keelan Cole. They have Jamison Crowder. They have Denzel Mims. I think maybe they wait till round 3 again, or they trade up from round 3 to go ahead and get somebody. I don't know. It's not really been Joe Douglas's trick to go ahead and trade up. So I think either receiver here or edge rusher. They went hard at edge rusher in free agency. They got Sheldon Rankins, interior defensive lineman. They got Carl Lawson, again, true edge rusher, had a couple of injury issues, solid deal. Him and Quinn Williams, I'm super excited to get to watch them play together. Joseph Osai, Ronnie Perkins, Carlos Basham. I kind of like what Carlos Basham brings to the table here. That length, that strength, 280 pounds, very different kind of edge rusher than, say, Carl Lawson. Osai, again, an interesting one. I think I'm going to go Basham here because I don't think the Jets have as much hang-ups about athleticism as, say, some other – not athleticism. They don't have as much hang-ups about age as some teams do. Like, again, some teams really do care about age. I know the Browns do. It's part of their guardrails. Next on the list, we got the Atlanta Falcons. This is another team. They're probably going to look at some of these edge rushers. This is where I could see Joseph Osai going. This is where I could see Ronnie Perkins. I think there's going to be like whoever's left of the edge rushers is going to probably go here. I think this is a good spot. Oh, Joseph Osai could probably be very good here, but I don't know what the defense. Oh no, it is Dean Pease, isn't it? Yeah, he stole Dean Pease. That's what happened. Dang, I could see them going corner here then. Let's go corner. I'm going to look at the corner situation. Sante Samuel Jr. is a good one for them. This would be able to play man coverage quite a bit with him. Kelvin Joseph might be a little high in my taste, especially given the off-the-field question marks. Eric Stokes blew up the House of Athlete Pro Day and his own Pro Day. Tyson Campbell has also been very athletic, but apparently Stokes is just has way more long speed. I think I could see them going. It's going to be either Stokes or Campbell. They're also going to be familiar with those guys. They're in Georgia. I'm going to go Stokes. I think that athleticism is going to draw people in. I don't know if that's necessarily the game plan for Fontenot all the time. We don't really know what his track record is. We know the Saints didn't always necessarily value they didn't value picks super much. Like, they would trade up and trade future picks to get guys onto the roster and get veterans. They have veterans, and they felt like they always had an older roster, so they kept on getting like premium guys who they specifically drafted. And they tended to be really good at that. They were like one of the few teams that, like, yeah, they might only take 3 or 4 guys, but they were very good at scouting the 3 or 4 guys. So targeting guys they really seem to enjoy. Next on the list, Miami Dolphins. Man, they got a couple of picks coming up. We went offensive line before. Doesn't mean they can't go offensive line again. Trey Smith's off the board. Creed Humphrey or Landon Dickerson. I think this is a good spot for Creed Humphrey to go. It might be a little high for him, but how I feel about it is I don't think they have the answer at center. Trey Smith, that's too high for Trey Smith. I think it's either Creed Humphrey or Landon Dickerson. It depends on how you feel about the ACLs. Landon Dickerson coming out of Alabama. Again, you're getting another guy we could pair. It's going to be a really big injury question mark team if I go into Dickerson here. So I think I'm going to go Creed Humphrey here. I'm going to lean on the Creed Humphrey move. 37 overall. Philadelphia Eagles, right? And remember, that was with the Texans pick. So Miami's got a couple of other ones coming up. They also have Carolina's pick at 39 and a pick at 50 that's their own. So Eagles, 37 overall. This is another team. I totally see them taking defense. I don't see them taking Jalen Phillips. They might be risk takers, but I don't see them that kind of level risk taker. It's very hard because we don't understand necessarily what they want to do with that team. They still haven't traded Zach Ertz. We don't know what Nick Sirianni kind of wants to do. But we're going to probably picture it's very similar to what was going on over with the Colts, because that's where he's coming out of Indianapolis. I'm thinking right here, this is, again, another team. This might be. Eagles don't mind. I just talked about this guy literally 13 seconds ago. Eagles have a center on staff, right? They have Jason Kelce. Imagine going from Jason Kelce to Landon Dickerson, right? You don't have to worry about starting Landon Dickerson right away, coming off the ACL because you have Jason Kelce. You can let him kind of warm back in. You don't have to worry about starting him right away and healing up, coming too quick. So Landon Dickerson, 37 overall. People are going to be like, well, this is going to be another risk-taking thing where maybe down the line the injury bites you in the butthole. I am not well-versed in medical issues, so I don't know if Landon Dickerson's thing is actually not going to be as big of a deal. ACLs especially tend to come, it's usually not the ACL in the current leg, as far as I know, that is the issue for risk of re-injury. It's the ACL in the other leg you're more likely to injure because it's like a structural thing. At 38 overall, the Bengals are on the board. I had them taking... Okay, so this is the team. I think we go back to receiver, right? I had them taking Penny Sewell earlier. Kadarius Toney would be an interesting one, right? I mentioned him before. I think you got to get speed at receiver. They could also go defense, but they spent money on defense. They spent weird money at defense. They lost Coral Lawson. They lost Willie J. They signed Chidobe Awuzie. Eli Apple, they signed him today. Mike Hilton. They signed Larry Ogunjobi to a 1-year contract. So it seems defensively they addressed it in free agency, like with a lot of all over the place signings. They did re-sign Quinton Spain today. That wouldn't stop me from taking another guy at offensive line. I just don't think there's a guy here that they would do that with. Elijah Moore and Rondale Moore would be very good ones. They have a lot of guys with not a lot of speed on the roster, right? T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Auden Tate. None of these guys are known for speed. They need speed. They need separation. They need to get away from people. So I am thinking they probably go with, I think it's a little high for Rondale Moore at this point. I think Darius Rondale. Me personally, I'll go Rondale. I think teams are going to be a little afraid by the 5-7 thing. So, Kadarius, playmaker, go for it. Miami's on the board again. God damn it, Miami. Go defense here, right? We haven't gone defense for a while. This is a defensive kind of team. I think there's a guy here that people want to see in the first round, right? They often mock him to my team, but I don't think he fits in every defense. What I can see Miami doing is going for Zaven Collins. Blitzbacker, kind of fits in that Patriots mold, Jamie Collins kind of guy. I think he can really make it a real headache for another team. With the length, the strength, the ability to blitz, the ability to be good in coverage. I think they go Zaven Collins here at 39. Denver Broncos are on the board, right? Been a lot of talk, a lot of whispers about them possibly taking Najee Harris in a trade down. They didn't trade down. Didn't matter. They still get him. Why? He's on the board. So they take Najee Harris, a guy who they seem to be in love with, including my cousin, who seems to be a huge Denver Broncos fan. He's now fallen in love with this concept. He even drove out to the pro day today to go support his teammates, even though he wasn't going to participate in the pro day himself. Drove 9 hours because his flight got canceled. So very, very good character guy. Can catch out of the backfield. Good hands. Big back. Doesn't really have true breakaway speed. But I think at this spot, dude, 40, fine. I'm okay with you taking a running back at 40. Do I really love it all the time? But because I know the Broncos are really into this dude, like seriously into this dude, I could totally see it working. 41 overall, Detroit Lions. This is a team that needs a lot. It needs a lot, man. They took Okudah last year. They have Amari Oruwariye. They released Trufant. I could see them going defense here. They kept what's his name? Okoro. They kept Okoro on a $13 million a year deal, but doesn't mean you can't add another edge rusher. This I think is a solid spot for Joseph Osai to go. I think he's got that. He had his pro day a week or two ago. He showed some real athleticism. He's very new to the position, so he's been playing edge rusher only really 1 year. He played off the ball linebacker before that. I think this is a good pickup for them. 42 overall. The New York Giants are on the board, right? They've had that crazy free agency. I mean, if I'm them, right, offense. I don't think there's anybody I see that I would take offensive line-wise, unfortunately. It's sad because they need it still, but no Dickerson, and no Creed Humphrey, no Wyatt Davis. Offense. Yes, they signed Kenny Golladay. Yes, they have Sterling Shepard. There was a lot of talk about them maybe taking Kyle Pitts. There's been a lot of talk about them trading away. Why can't I remember his goddamn name? Evan Ingram. Yes, there's been a lot of talk about them trading away Evan Ingram. I say it with the Scottish accent because I can. I think they take Pat Freiermuth, a guy who can be a very solid starter as a tight end going into the future. Good spot to take him. You get a guy who can literally be who would he comp to? Better, they just signed Kyle Rudolph. They get a guy who can be a better version of Kyle Rudolph, right? Now you have Kyle Rudolph, you have Pat Freiermuth, You have Evan Ingram. You can use all those guys, or you don't have to use all those guys, but you now have that opportunity. We're now at 43, the San Francisco 49ers, and with this, right, we have I mentioned before they took a corner, right? Oh, I don't think I'll go corner again. I think D Ford is getting close to being not on this team anymore. I don't see them taking Jalen Phillips. I still don't see it happening. I could see them going coverage linebacker. I could see them going Ronnie Perkins. Again, guard's kind of a weird miss here. D end. I think it's going to be Ronnie Perkins here. They're going to go for a guy who can be a solid edge rusher, pair up with Bosa. They're going to have D Ford back. They have Eric Armstead still. They're going to want to get more production out of their edge rushers. They no longer have Sala there. They managed to turn that defense into a really good defense last year, even though they lost a bunch of pieces. Again, I think getting Ronnie Perkins in, you get another guy to help rush the passer, rush with 4, cover. I think it's a good move. At 44 overall, we have the Dallas Cowboys, right? So earlier in this draft, right, we had them take the J.C. Horn, and now people are throwing eggs at me. I could feel it. They're like, I can't believe this guy did this. Did he not know that J.C. Horn was going to be, like, not as good as 13? Well, we don't know. We don't really know. But I understand it. He ran well. He jumped well. You can't fake a broad jump. You can't fake a vertical. It wasn't like he was standing on books and then did the vertical on betting. Teams can see that shit. They might want to look the tackle, J. Tufele, Alim McNeil, Levi Uzurike are on the board. I don't really love the D tackles after Barmore. Offensively, god damn it, it's a weird spot for them. I mean, Jalen Mayfield. I don't think they take Jalen Mayfield. I'm still not a huge fan of Jalen Mayfield. They could take a Fetu Melifonwu, pair up, double up at corner. Safety's kind of a weird class this year. There's going to be a lot of guys that probably go end of day 2, early day 3. We're not at that stage yet. Wide receiver, there's still a bunch of them left. Tight end. Oh! This might be high. This is very high for him. But Brevin Jordan, right? We just saw Jonnu Smith get $12.5 million a year. This is really high. But, like, they don't have a tight end like Brevin Jordan. And you could utilize Brevin Jordan in a way that would add to your offense. You can now run essentially the equivalent to 4 wide with having a tight end on the field. I dig it. We'll go that way. Brevin Jordan kind of compares to Jonnu Smith. Like I said before, Jonnu Smith just got $12.5 million a year. This guy might even be more athletic than Jonnu Smith. So I kind of dig that idea. Jaguars are on the board. They let a bunch of receivers go. They've taken 2 defensive players and a quarterback. I think here they look at guys who maybe they can go ahead and have their player throw to. Right? 'Cause again, I look at this offensive tackle class. Very good, but I think the best of them are going to go really early. And then there's like some centers that I wouldn't feel comfortable taking here. Man, I can't believe I think this might be the second running back to come off the board, right? Travis Etienne of Clemson. He's got that breakaway speed. Familiar with Trevor Lawrence. I think this would be a good little combination maneuver. You get 2 guys from Clemson, know each other, love each other, hopefully. Have gotten used to being around each other. Now build a playbook around a very fast running back who could break away at any point, and a good quarterback who, again, now you have already a built-in chemistry with him. Next on the list, the Patriots. They went through all the craziness. I somehow managed to have the Patriots keep their second pick. I think this is because they're going to trade down. Who would want to trade up, though? Right? Guys who are still on the board. Who would want to get up there? Green Bay, Chicago, Washington. Who could somebody want to get? Fetu Melifonwu, some of the corners still. Fetu Melifonwu, Asante Samuel still on the board. Offensive speaking, Terrence Marshall. A lot of people are still fans of Terrence Marshall. I could even see them taking Terrence Marshall, right? Getting a big body receiver. Oh, wait, they have N'Keal Harry. I think it's definitely who. Oh, we had Chicago. Chicago will do it. Chicago is going to trade, right? We're going to propose a trade, everybody. We're going to go to the trade look here. I'm going to go right to the screen so you guys can see it. Oh, not that one. Here. There you go. Going to have Chicago come up, trade with the Patriots. They're going to trade 52. And I'm thinking next year's third to get up to 46. Do they have to trade next year's? Yeah, well, they don't have a fourth. That'd be the equivalent there. I'm thinking that's probably what it takes. Yeah, I think they take a receiver here. They were in on the Kenny Golladay market. They were in on. I think they could even trade higher than this. I think they take Elijah Moore. Cornerstone of my heart, really fast receiver. Like I said before, electric. You see this guy play, and it is beauty. This guy breaks away. Like they already have guys similar to this on the roster. Anthony Miller's there still. They were talking about trading him away, apparently for help in the cap relief department because he gets them an extra $1.3 million, I guess, like $1 million. Maybe they can get a little bit extra draft capital for him. I don't know. I never understood that aspect of it. They also drafted a receiver last year in the third or fourth round. I can't remember his name. Fast dude. So I think the idea here will be they will. Yes, there we go. They go Elijah Moore. They get a guy with some breakaway speed to pair up with Miller. And with Allen Robinson, who's there on an $18 million a year contract. Next, we go to the Chargers, right? Oh, and and again, they were big on the receiver market. They had offered Kenny Golladay money. I guess the money they were going to give to that they took away from Kyle Fuller. Next on the list, the Chargers, right? Whew. Chargers already went offensive line, right? They got Elijah Vera Tucker. I got to tell you, that receiving room starting to look a little old. They still have Mike Williams for one more year. They didn't get rid of him. I know some people thought they would. I think what they do look at receiver. I think this is where Terrence Marshall goes. Right? Get a big guy, big-bodied guy, has played on the outside, kind of pair him up with Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, great slot receiver. They also have some speed on that roster as well. But now you get a guy who, can kind of pair up well with what the rest of that receiving core does. He's going to play a role. He doesn't have to be the leader. He is part of the equation. A lot of these guys, including Terrence Marshall, just looked better in 2019 than they did in 2020. Rashad Bateman was one of those guys. Rondale Moore looked better in 2018. That's the tiny receiver that we're going to talk about probably in a little bit. 48 overall. The Raiders are back on the board. My God, this team, I can never figure out what they're going to do. I think they would take they probably would take Trey Smith. They could probably take Deontay Brown. I just don't see them doing that. I like David Moore, Grambling State. I like Ben Cleveland. I don't think I think it's going to be a little bit more of a push in the third and fourth round in the NFL draft for guards and some of the lower-ranked centers. Jalen Mayfield, Spencer Brown out of North Iowa. Jackson Carman. They did just lose Nelson Aguilar. They did sign John Brown. They have Henry Ruggs. They got rid of their offensive line. I think they probably look at a guy. Yeah, this is a team that probably would like another speed threat. They already have two. There's two guys I could see here. Dwayne Eskridge, who's got long speed. There's Tylan Wallace, who I think could probably be pretty good too. Amari Rodgers kind of very much is in the very good slot receiver, kind of like very much a Randall Cobb type player. Again, both Amari Rodgers, Tylan Wallace, and Dwayne Eskridge all had really good Senior Bowls. They met with a lot of teams. They got a lot of FaceTime with NFL coaches. I think that Tutu Atwell is a guy who's got game-breaking speed as well. There's a lot of fast guys in this draft. Amon-Ra St. Brown would be an interesting one. He's kind of a USC guy. Very much reminds me of another USC guy, Juju Smith-Schuster. Kind of big guy, a little bit more athletic. Play on the outside, could play in the slot, and be that possession receiver kind of guy. He fits. That really works for them, actually, because then they would have him playing in the slot, sometimes on the outside. They would have Ruggs and John Brown for deep threats. I like that. Amon-Ra St. Brown, do it. They're on the West Coast anyway. They probably have some familiarity with them. I'm guessing. I have no clue. All right, 49 overall. The Arizona Cardinals. Oh, what are they gonna do here? I could totally see them going defense. I could totally see them going receiver. I think this is where Dwayne Eskridge goes, right? Guy who's got some deep speed. He wasn't always a receiver. In fact, they played him around a little bit at cornerback, a little bit older of a prospect, 24. Don't know if again, the Cardinals are going to be looking for all the things that they could throw at the pot to get guys who are going to be. I think Dwayne Eskridge is good because he's going to go ahead and take the top off the defense. I think this is the perfect spot for him to go. And a lot of talk about him being a round 2 pick. After his performance at the Senior Bowl. It seems like a lot of teams really liked him. He did do really well at the Senior Bowl, so I could totally see that being a thing. Next in the list, god damn it, Miami. How do you keep coming back, Miami? You're like Jason. You just keep showing up. It's freaking Miami again, like for the 99th time. I feel like this draft is like Miami, Cardinals, Miami, Washington, Miami. It's like all god dang day. All right. Miami has a funny thing here, right? They can take a risk because, again, they get to trade down with all these extra picks. They get first-rounders. This might be one of those times where they get a first-round talent because of a health issue. Jalen Phillips, mentioned before, probably a top 15 to 20 player in this draft, maybe even higher, if you didn't have the concussion retirement from a couple of years ago. From UCLA and then comes to Miami. If Miami gets Jalen Phillips, that is a steal for them in this draft with their 4th pick. It's essentially the equivalent of them having a 4th rounder in the 2nd round, and they get to take a guy who, could not pan out, but you couldn't probably find another guy at this spot who is this talented. And you will now automatically upgrade your edge rush. Next on the list, Washington football teams, right? Defensively, I could totally see them still going corner here, right? Fetu Melifonwu still on the board. Asante Samuel. D-tackle, I think they're probably a little bit less likely to go. I'm gonna pick another guy who, again, had a really good Senior Bowl, plays linebacker. I think this maybe I don't know how much Ron Rivera likes these kind of guys, but Jabril Cox played really well as a coverage linebacker at the Senior Bowl. I don't know if he's we're gonna see next week what his athletic scoring is, but I think this would be a good spot for him. Had a good Senior Bowl. Looked really good at the Senior Bowl. Like again, very impressive. I think this is something that Washington can use. Again, now you are creating some real headaches for teams to try to throw in your defense. You signed a corner. You already have you have Fuller. You have William Jackson III. You have that sick defensive line. Now you get a coverage linebacker to create some real headaches in the throwing lanes. I think this is a good spot to go. The Patriots on the board again. I can easily see them trading down again. This is such a Patriots move to do. They could easily. I think they could take corner. You know what? They don't. It's funny. I think there's a real question I have right now as to whether what their plan is with their star corner, Stephon Gilmore. He's now getting up there in age. Talks about them trading him away. Then, they had this big free agency. They signed a whole bunch of crazy dudes. He's spent all this money, and now it sounds like he's not going anywhere. He played really well in the slot last year, which is why I'm bringing this up, because they love to play press man coverage. They love to be able to man you up. They want guys who are going to be good at manning you up. Don't know. I don't think this is where Elijah Molden goes. He's a great slot corner. I don't think this is a good spot for him, to be honest. I don't. They love D linemen. They love linebackers. I think Deontay Hightower is getting up there in years. I think they maybe go for a guy who maybe isn't as much of the blitz backer, but at least can be good in coverage. Again, it's going to be the name of the game. Oh, Nick Bolton, cerebral guy. I think they're going to probably – okay, so guys who I could see them going for. Nick Bolton, Brandon Browning, very different style of linebackers. Not very different. Nick Bolton has the ability to maybe be okay, but his athleticism score very much down in the dirt right now after his pro day. Tape probably says that he's a solid but not great athlete. Can be okay in coverage. Jamin Davis out of Kentucky got vines for arms. That's another guy I think teams are going to be looking at in the second to third round range. I don't see them going Chaz Surratt. I think Jamin would be good. I know the board here says it's a little off, but I don't agree with that. Brandon Browning, another one would be an interesting one. What would the Patriots do? Patriots probably just trade down again. You know what? I'll go Brandon Browning here. Sounds like something the Patriots do. They got Deontay Hightower back for, I think, at least one more year. He's getting up there in age. They get another guy in there. He might be replaced by Kyle Van Noy, but I guess, again, there's going to be other players that come in and cycle and will have different roles in that defense. In come the Titans, right? Titans, first round. I had them taking an offensive lineman. I think this is another team. Looks at receiver. Rondale Moore is still on the board. Tylan Wallace. Diami Brown. Diami Brown would be an interesting one. He's a little bit more of a projection as far as still a deep receiver kind of guy. Tylan Wallace. I think Diami Brown could probably go here. Maybe I'm just being a little high on Diami, but I could totally see it. Let's go Diami Brown. Brown out of North Carolina. They got to replace Corey Davis. They got to get a couple more receivers in that receiving core. Do it one more time. There we go. All right, next on the list, the Colts, right? Another team that probably will benefit if they go after another receiving threat. This is the team I could see totally going after one of the speedier guys, right? Rondale Moore is still here. I'm going to go Rondale Moore. He might be the exception to the rule. This is a good spot. A little bit of a run-after-catch guy. Totally see this being the right move here. Next on the list, Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know. They could probably take a receiver here too, right? Because this is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They take a receiver on day 2 almost every other year, if not every year. I could totally see them doing that. Or they can go they got to go. Jalen Mayfield would be a good pickup for them. I think this is where Jalen Mayfield possibly goes. They need, like I said before, they need offensive line. They do need everything, but they do need offensive line. Next on the list, man, the Seahawks are pissed. Why are they pissed? Well, because this is where Jalen Phillips, I think, stops falling. They get a guy who's equivalent of a first-round pick, even though they didn't have a first-round pick. I could see them going Rashad Weaver too early there. Slim McNeil, right? D tackle, nose tackle, but a very good pass rushing nose tackle. In fact, I would love to see him play 3-tech, right? Get him matched up, have him one gap a little bit. So it'd be a very interesting spot here for him. LA Rams, they probably trade down at this pick. I think this is probably who they lose this year. They lost, they probably go safety, right? Safety or corner. Hamza Naderling. No, I don't think that's it. Let's see. Deontay Brown. Oh, I think definitely they go. God damn it. They could probably go receiver and tight end again. Oh, that's right. Tight end. No, but Brevin Jordan's off the table. God dang it, man. Asante Samuel Jr. Love this dude. Man coverage corner. Father was a football player himself. They lose Troy Hill. think this is the totally right spot to go with it. I will be right back, everybody. Sorry, folks. I just had to check really quick, make sure the oven wasn't on. Yes. So, where are we at now? Why can't I get this back up? There we go. Yes, I had the LA Rams take Asante Samuel Jr. Baltimore Ravens on at 58. I would have had them take an offensive lineman here, right? Probably a good spot. But they're real. Again, I feel weird with the offensive linemen in these locations. Ben Cleveland, Deontay Brown, Quinn Moritz. Let's see. Walker Little. No, I just don't buy that one. Running back, Javonte Williams. Not another running back. They've been pegged a lot with receivers. Might be a good spot for Tylan Wallace. This seems to be like the run on receivers kind of situation, right? Seems like there's a whole bunch of receivers that should be going in this spot. Browns are on the board. I have them taking Ifeatu Melifonwu. I don't know if it's necessarily the best pick for them. Like I said, if you're playing a lot of cover 3 or cover 4, probably a good pick. A little bit, you can maybe coach him up to be a little bit more aggressive and press man, get him to jam receivers more, get his hands on guys. I think that would work. Next up is the Saints. Saints are, like I said, they're missing a lot of guys. I think, again, another time where receiver becomes a big deal for them. Amari Rodgers could be a big one here. Nick Bolton's still on the board. I don't think Nick Bolton goes here. I don't. Michael Carter, I don't see him taking. I could see him going corner. I could see him going slot corner because that would be a. Yeah, I'm going to go Elijah Molden here. They got to fill out that defense. They lost a lot of pieces. They added in a slot corner to go along with it. And then again, I think they could probably figure out ways of utilizing. The other one I would have maybe went with was Kelvin Joseph. The Buffalo Bills, everybody. The Bills. They kept. I don't think they need anything at linebacker. I think, again, this is a team. Is this where they go? Man, it's weird because if there's a run on guards in this draft, it becomes a very. I like, you know what, Aaron Banks, Notre Dame, right? Big dude, strong dude. I think it fits kind of what they would be looking for as a guard. Just fill out the freaking the interior of the defense, offensive line. You dumbass, the offensive line. All right, now we're here. We got Green Bay Packers. We got Aaron Rodgers, right? I still think wide receiver. Amari Rodgers being on the board here. I could see him go here. It might be a little early for some people, but not for me, everybody. And I think this is a good spot for him to go. He gets a guy he could throw to who actually kind of reminds you a little bit of Randall Cobb, can kind of be a little bit of a gadget guy. So I take Amari Rodgers here. 63 overall. We've got the Kansas City Chiefs. Talked before about them taking Dylan Radins at tackle. Defense. Corners that are left. This is the team that takes Kelvin Joseph. They don't care. When you come to a Super Bowl team, you're going to learn your shit. We're going to be able to, again, we're going to just keep on getting better as far as coverage goes. And our defensive line will help as well with Chris Jones. And hopefully, eventually, Frank Clark, decides to show up every day of a season for the Chiefs. I don't know. He seems to not want to do that. They get Kelvin Joseph. They add to their corner room. They are possibly losing Brashad Breeland. I know he is a free agent right now and still looking, but they could probably get him back. And they've never really been afraid of those kind of issues. 64 overall. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Could see them going receiver. Could see them going corner. I think, we just saw Paulson Adebo have a great pro day. Big, long press corner. That's not always what they do. I'm trying to think. I gotta think this has got to be either corner, tackle. It's weird. This class gets really weird at certain points. I don't buy that they. Oh, Jamin Davis would be an interesting one because they only have. They did extend. They have Devin White. They did extend. The great hero that is. Levante David. There we go. D tackle. I've had very few D tackles go so far. Tommy Togiai, Davion Nixon. I think Davion Nixon could go here. They could definitely use another interior pass rusher. They're losing Ndamukong Suh. We'll go Davion Nixon. And that's it. Oh, my God, we finished! Whole 2 rounds? It's been amazing, folks. It's been amazing. It's been amazing to be with you, right? I'm going to check the Twitterverse right now, see if anything crazy has happened, just so I can get my first. Oh, no, nothing. Nothing's happened. Nothing. The world is just sticking the way. Oh, my God, I got Twitter. Oh, no, it's behind me in the. Yeah, so if you want, you can follow the podcast at DraftVice on Twitter, at DraftVice_football on Instagram. You can follow me at BROJO. Death is in the end of life. Punch like a delicious drink you drank in the summer. And thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. It's been a great time, and it's been a very sweet time. So I will do another mock draft. I actually might even do another live stream tomorrow. It won't be a mock draft. It'll probably be a guest. I'm going to try my first time doing a guest on this show. I know. As a live stream, I can't believe it. Yes, possibly. So like, follow, subscribe. I will also, I'll run over to the Roto World, or not anymore Roto World page, but I will check it just to make sure there's not anything else to check in on. Kerry Hyder signed with the Seahawks. There might be an issue with Kyle Rudolph with the Giants. Benson Mayowa. He resigned with the Seahawks. Joe Flacco signed with the Eagles. So Jalen Hurts, get your panties ready. It's going to be a hard one. No, Joe Flacco's not threatening anybody's job. $3.5 million in guarantees to Joe Flacco. Elijah Wilkinson signed on to be offensive tackle for the Chicago Bears. And, I don't see anything else as far as any other craziness goes. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for tuning in. And have a wonderful day.
We're on to
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
About the past and about the future.